Wow, you really think this house is yours to show off? My mom laughed, dangling the keys like a queen tossing scraps. My brother's wife clapped her hands in delight, and her friend filmed every corner with greedy awe. They didn't know the truth, that this house was mine, bought with every hour of overtime, every skipped meal, every lonely night no one ever noticed. Hi everyone, my name is Evelyn Grace, 28 years old. And this isn't just a story about walls and keys. This is about dignity, betrayal, and the silence that burns hotter than fire. Have you ever watched someone steal the very air you fought to breathe, while smiling in your face? I had been hiding in my car across the street, window cracked just enough to hear their voices drift out the open door. My mom's voice carried, crisp and proud as if rehearsed, "We just knew this place had to be ours. Family deserves luxury after all." Every syllable dripped with a kind of performance, a cruel theater she never invited me to play in. Inside, her heels tapped against the marble floors I chose. The ones I had stared at online for months, saving every last cent until I could finally claim them. My brother's wife gushed about the walk-in closet, already imagining her clothes in it, while the friend whispered about dinner parties. My stomach clenched. My own family had turned my sacrifice into their stage set. The curtains swayed slightly in the breeze, and for a moment it felt like the house itself was breathing with me, watching silently, waiting for me to decide if I would stay hidden or step into their theater. My pulse drummed in my ears. Rage didn't come all at once. It seeped in like a slow leak, filling every vein until even my fingertips ached with it. But instead of storming inside, I smiled. A smile no one saw. I waited, patient as the walls themselves, until their laughter and footsteps faded out the door. The lock clicked behind them and my chest rose with a calm I didn't expect. That night I returned with a locksmith. One by one, every lock turned new, every key replaced. But as the last screw tightened into place, I felt something strange stir in the silence of the house. The air seemed heavier, as though the real secret, the one none of us had spoken yet, was about to rise. And I realized the locks weren't closing them out. They were sealing me in. The morning after I changed every lock, my phone buzzed with a storm of messages. "Evelyn, stop this nonsense. Open the door. We need our things. Don't be selfish." And finally from my mom, "This house is family property. Don't forget who raised you." Her words sat on the screen like daggers. Raised me? She had raised my brother into a golden heir, the one who got everything. Cars, tuition, forgiveness. Me. I was the shadow who paid her own bills since 19, the daughter who worked double shifts while they praised him for showing up at family dinners. I didn't reply. Instead, I walked barefoot through my house, tracing the cold marble with my toes. Every room echoed with their laughter from the day before, like ghosts of a performance I hadn't been invited to. But beneath that memory there was something else. A humming in the silence, a strange pull that made me pause near the study. I pushed open the heavy oak door. The smell hit first. Old paper, dust, something almost metallic. The room was empty, except for a built-in cabinet I hadn't noticed before when I first toured the place. My fingers brushed the handle and a small chill ran up my arm. Locked. Not by the locksmith but by someone else, long before I ever turned a key in this house. I pressed my ear against it. Silence. But the silence felt alive. That night the calls grew uglier. My brother's wife left a voicemail, her voice dripping venom. "You think you're clever, Evelyn? Everyone knows you can't afford that place. We'll prove it. We'll take it back." Her confidence shook me, but not because of her threat. Because part of me wondered, was she right? Could there be something about this house I didn't know? Something that explained the strange heaviness in its walls? I lay awake, staring at the ceiling beams. The storm outside rattled the windows, thunder rolling like a warning. I thought about the locked cabinet, about the way my mom's eyes had sparkled as she walked through this place like it was hers, not mine. And a thought I couldn't shake whispered through me. Maybe she wasn't just stealing pride. Maybe she was hiding something here all along. I closed my eyes, fists tightening around the sheets. Tomorrow I would find out what was behind that cabinet door. Because I wasn't the only one this house belonged to. The next morning I stood in the study with a crowbar in my hand. My heart hammered, not from fear of breaking wood, but from the sense that I was breaking into something that didn't want to be opened. The cabinet resisted, groaning as if it had been sealed for decades. My breath fogged the air though the room wasn't cold. Finally, with one sharp crack, the door splintered open. Dust clouded out, thick and choking, and behind it, boxes. Neatly stacked, heavy, tied with string. I pulled the first one into the light. Inside were papers, receipts, contracts, letters. At first glance, ordinary. But then I saw the names. My mom's signature on deeds that didn't belong to her. My brother's names scribbled beside dates that overlapped with my father's old investments. I froze. These weren't just papers. They were proof. Proof that for years my family had been funneling money, taking what wasn't theirs, moving assets into accounts I never knew existed. And then the photo slipped free. A black and white picture of the house itself, decades old. In front of it stood my grandfather, stern and unsmiling, holding the very same keys I'd held last week. On the back, a note in faded ink. For Evelyn when the time is right. My knees buckled. Evelyn. My name. The ink was old. Far older than me. A legacy left like a secret inheritance. But if it was meant for me, why had my mother acted like it was hers to flaunt? The buzzing of my phone yanked me back. A new text from Mom. We're coming tonight. Don't lock us out again. For the first time I felt the ground tilt. This wasn't just about greed or pride anymore. They knew. They knew about the house, about the papers, maybe even about the message my grandfather had left for me. The storm had passed outside, but inside me it had only begun. I gathered the boxes, heart pounding, and whispered into the empty air. You wanted me to find this, didn't you? You wanted me to finally see the truth. The walls seemed to hum in agreement. And for the first time I realized, the betrayal hadn't started yesterday. It had been buried here for years, waiting for me to open the door. By nightfall the driveway filled with headlights. Their cars lined up like soldiers preparing for siege. I stood at the window, the boxes stacked behind me, my hands trembling, not from fear but from the weight of every secret I had uncovered. The first knock rattled the door. Then came my mother's voice, sharp and rehearsed. Evelyn, open this door. You don't want to make enemies of your own family. Enemies. The word tasted bitter. I turned the deadbolt but didn't open, letting her voice echo through the silence instead. Behind her my brother shouted. This house isn't yours. You'll regret this. But regret was already the blood running in my veins. Years of it. Finally I cracked the door just enough for them to see my face. Calm. Too calm. Funny, I said softly. I found some old papers today. Seems this house was always mine. Even before I bought it. My mother's eyes flickered just for a moment. Fear quickly masked by rage. You don't understand what you've touched, she hissed, stepping forward. I blocked the door. Then explain, I said. Explain why your name is all over forged deeds. Explain why Grandpa wrote my name on the back of a photo 30 years ago. Her face drained of color. My brother's wife gasped, whispering, I told you she'd find out, before he silenced her with a glare. They pushed harder, demanding to be let in, but I kept my body against the wood, the weight of every betrayal bracing me. This house isn't just walls, I told them. It's truth. And you can't steal truth with a set of keys. The friend, the one who had filmed the tour, stepped out of the shadows. Evelyn, she said carefully, you should be careful. There are things in that house better left buried. The way she said it chilled me more than my mother's threats. As though she knew something even I didn't. I slammed the door through the locks and pressed my back against it. Outside their fists pounded like thunder. Inside the boxes sat waiting, silent witnesses. But it was the photograph that burned brightest in my mind. My grandfather's face. My name written long before I was born. And the whisper I swore I heard as I climbed the stairs. Keep digging, Evelyn. You haven't reached the secret yet. Their fists hammered on the door long after midnight, but eventually the driveway went dark again. Silence pressed in, thick and uneasy. I should have felt relief, but instead my chest burned with questions. I carried the last unopened box into the study, the storm lamp casting long shadows on the wall. My hands shook as I tugged the string loose. Inside were more documents, but these were different. Not financial. Personal. Letters. Dozens of them, folded neatly, all addressed to one name, Evelyn. My breath caught. These weren't written to me, they were written decades ago. The handwriting was my grandfather's, steady and elegant. If you are reading this, it means the house has chosen you. This place was meant to protect, not to divide. But your mother, she turned love into possession. You must guard what is inside because if they find it, they will tear you apart. Each letter felt like it had been written straight into my bones. He knew. He had seen what she was capable of long before I was born. And he had left this house as a shield. Beneath the letters lay a smaller, locked tin box. No key. I traced the ridges of the metal, my pulse loud in my ears. That was when my phone buzzed again. A new message from an unknown number. Stop opening boxes, Evelyn. Some truths will ruin you. The words sent ice down my spine. No name. No trace. Just the certainty that someone knew exactly what I was doing. I dropped the phone onto the desk, staring at the tin box under the lamplight. My reflection worked across its surface, eyes wide, lips pressed tight. For a moment I considered stopping, leaving it shut, pretending none of this existed. But then I remembered my mother's voice earlier, calling me selfish, unworthy. I remembered my brother shouting that I'd regret it. And I whispered into the empty room, no. You'll regret it. I slid the box back into the cabinet and closed the broken door as best I could. Tomorrow I would find a way to open it. Whatever was inside, it was the final piece of a puzzle my family had spent years burying. And I swore I heard it again as the lamp flickered, my grandfather's voice, low and steady, echoing in the walls. You're almost there. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the study with the tin box on the desk, the letters scattered around me like witnesses. Dawn crept in through the curtains, pale and cold, and with it came the sound I had been dreading, the crunch of tires in the driveway. This time they didn't knock. They stormed. The pounding on the door shook the frame, voices overlapping, angrier, sharper. Open it, Evelyn, my brother roared. You think one house makes you better than us? My mother's voice sliced through his. That box doesn't belong to you. Do you hear me? It was never meant for you. I froze. My chest tightened. How did she know about the box? I stepped closer to the door, my voice calm though my hands trembled. You lied, I said. You stole. And now I know. Grandpa left this for me. He saw through you before anyone else did. For a moment, silence. Then her voice, low and venomous. He was a bitter old man. That house ruined him. And it will ruin you too. Something inside me cracked. Years of swallowing her words, years of shrinking in their shadows. No more. No, I whispered, more to myself than to her. It won't ruin me. It will free me. They tried the locks, jiggled the handle, slammed their weight against the wood. I braced the door with my body, every thud echoing through my ribs. Then came the voice I didn't expect. The friend, the one who had filmed the first tour. She spoke softly, almost pleading. Evelyn, listen. Your mother isn't wrong. That house has secrets none of us should touch. If you open that box, you'll never be the same. Her words cut deeper than the banging. Because for the first time it wasn't a threat. It was a warning. But warnings too often come from those already guilty. I backed away from the door, heart pounding, and grabbed the tin box. My reflection stared back at me from its surface, fractured by the flickering light. My choice felt heavy, final. Outside their fists kept coming. Inside the house seemed to hum, waiting, urging. And as I carried the box upstairs, I knew one truth above all. Tonight something would break. Either the house, or me. The storm outside broke with a roar of thunder just as the front door splintered. Wood cracked, metal shrieked, and suddenly they were inside. My mother first, my brother close behind, their faces twisted with something darker than anger. I clutched the tin box to my chest, backing up the staircase one step at a time. Stay away, I whispered, though my voice trembled. You don't get to touch this. My mother's eyes were wild, but there was fear in them too. Evelyn, listen to me. That box doesn't protect you, it damns you. He wanted to trap you the way he trapped me. Her words sliced through me. Trap? My grandfather? The man whose letters felt like lifelines in my hands? My brother shoved past her, his voice a snarl. Enough. Give it to me. He lunged, but the house itself seemed to groan as lightning flashed and the chandelier above swayed violently, casting broken shadows across the walls. I bolted into the study, slammed the door, and wedged a chair beneath the handle. Their fists pounded immediately after. The box shook in my hands, heavier than metal, heavier than blood. I dropped it on the desk, my breaths ragged. The lock had no key, but the crowbar still leaned in the corner from before. My fingers wrapped around it, slick with sweat. One strike. Two. The metal dented, screamed until finally the lid split. Silence fell. Even the pounding stopped. Inside, nestled beneath faded velvet, was a stack of journals. My grandfather's handwriting covered every page. Diaries of betrayal. He had chronicled everything. How my mother siphoned money, how my brother forged signatures, how they plotted to claim the house long before I was even born. Page after page, proof of their greed. But there was more. At the very bottom, one final envelope. My name on the front. Not just Evelyn, Evelyn Grace. I opened it with trembling hands. His words were simple, sharp. They will try to take everything from you. This house is yours not because you bought it, but because you are the only one strong enough to bear the truth. Lock them out. Let the house stand with you. And when the time comes, let silence be your answer. The door behind me rattled, hinges ready to snap. My mother screamed my name, furious, desperate. My brother cursed. But I sat in the chair, the envelope still in my hand, and I finally smiled. The house wasn't a trap. It was a mirror. It didn't create greed, it revealed it. And now I had proof. I sat there in the study as the final hinge snapped and the door burst open. They poured in. My mother, my brother, his wife clinging behind him, and that friend with the wary eyes. They expected me to break, to hand it all over. But I didn't move. The journals were spread across the desk like an unrolled confession. I placed my hand on them calmly, my voice steady. Do you see this? Grandpa wrote everything down. Every dollar you stole. Every lie you fed me. Every trick you played with his legacy. My brother lunged, but I slid the envelope across the desk toward him. He froze when he saw my full name written in our grandfather's hand, the ink faded but undeniable. His face went pale. My mother tried to snatch it, but I leaned back in the chair, smiling faintly. You called me selfish. You called me unworthy, I whispered. But the house was always mine. Not because I bought it. Because it knew I could bear the truth you spent your lives hiding. They shouted. Denied. But I didn't argue. I didn't need to. Silence was heavier than their voices. Silence and the evidence that spoke louder than their denial ever could. The friend, the one who had warned me, stepped back, her eyes wide. For the first time she looked afraid of them, not me. And in that moment, I realized she hadn't been warning me to protect me. She had been warning me to protect herself, from being tied to their downfall. I gathered the journals and tucked them into a satchel I had prepared hours earlier. Without another word I walked past them. My mother's hand shot out to grab me, but I paused, looked her dead in the eye and said softly, "Locks keep you out. But the truth keeps you gone." Her fingers slipped away. The next week, the silence in my phone was broken only by the sound of lawyers calling them. One by one their names were dragged into the light. Fraud. Perjury. The house had not ruined me, it had freed me. And as I stood in the empty hallway one quiet morning, sun pouring through the high windows, I whispered to the walls. Grandpa, I kept it safe. I finally understand. The house hummed, still and proud, no longer heavy but alive. And for the first time it felt like home.